Hey, everybody. Welcome to Maddox AI and Post Sales Summit. You are currently watching Create a Renewal Calculator. I'm so excited to introduce our speaker, Emma Lowe of Customer Success Operations and Renewals at DeepGram. Hey, Emma.
Hi everyone. Hi Max. Thank you
So,
for.
one of our traditions is we always start off with an icebreaker question. And this year's is what's one AI use case you wish existed but haven't seen yet?
I would love to see what we call the outcome accountable vertical agent. If there's one agent that's owned end to end, doing very well, and just with the domain proprietary data, with and only also price on the outcome rather than just a seats or token, that would be amazing.
I love that. I also love how that was one of our more technical answers. Just absolutely love it. But I think that's reflective of how awesome this session is going to be and how detailed you're going to get. So, with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Emma. If you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to drop it in the chat and the Q&A, and we'll make sure to answer it before the session's over. So, with that, I'll let Emma take it away.
Thank you. Okay, here we go. Hi, I'm the current CS Officer at DeepRam, also running a community called CS and Focus. Today we're going to talk about building renewal calculator. Now, a little background about DeepRam. We are a consumption model. So today we're all focused on what all the consumption models that people are talking about moving on and how we build a renewal calculator behind it. So what are we talking about what can go wrong? It is Well, the renewal is really different when it comes to consumption. We talk about it's not only based on the Cs or PDF contracts, so on. It's about what is actually customer renew at, the right commitment number based on the real usage, not just last year contract. The second is this customer is going to leave or shrink or downsell? And we can have to set up some sort of early warning weeks before actual renewal call, not just 1 week before. So that's what I call it's not really an IT problem. I would say it's a CSR problem because what you actually need is the proven playbook or the data analysis you've had done in the back. The simple way is, oh, your usage, you see as simple as CSV export. And then you have an LM or AI assistant that help you calculate the hard part. Now, the skill is describing what you know, not just coding, but I'm going to show you different levels of how you can do that. All right, so we're gonna cut. So what I talk about, there's a couple signals we're looking out for. Think of consumption. The first one is the run rate, which is how the customer, the usage, the trending last 6 months, last 3 months. Is there a drop? They're actually using? The second is what I call utilization, because they can buy a pack of tokens and how much percentage are actually utilized toward their tokens, right? This is indicating like how far ahead are they using their used tokens? Is there opportunities for expansion or there's early warnings for downsell or so on, right? Another things that I call the risk signals. This is when I talk about the deltas, which is where the usage declines. Will reflect your recent usage, analyze like how it's going, and then how it collapsed, how much actually been used. And is there, of course, or is there billing friction? Because there's always challenge if the customer, there's any billing distribution challenge could actually impact customer experience and so on. That's something that I would say is a risk signal that we can all build in. Okay, so let's go back. What I talked about before is when you think of building any AI workflow, you want to think of what actually you're solving. Today, we're talking about calculator. You have the data. You can connect to your data warehouse, or today we're doing CSV export, the logic. Now, this is a little bit of math, not just like trending 3 months, but if you want to make more reliable, you want to do a little bit more trend analysis, the usage trend analysis, usage trend, and cohort analysis. Just really understand how the customer behavior really impact risk to churn or actually good signals to expansion. And of course, we're talking about the AI part, which is the handling their data to do the calculation. All right. So today we're going to talk about two levels. The basic one, which is we're going to use Cloud, the free version. We're going to use a CSV export if you have just like the accounts that you manage. It's easier for some people to just do a CSV export, or we can do a little bit advanced, which is actually building a lovable or even use the cloud. So this is kind of the two levels we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to go into my demo. So first one is this is the usage data you're going to see. Okay, something that account, what month they are in, what are their units, what is actually committed, which is a utilization, and then you have your rates, overages, if you're charging overage rate, or just as kind of like a what is kind of usage data back there. And level one, uh, let's say you already done all your playbook. This is how I run my renewal playbooks, or here's the trend I've done in the past. You can actually do this easily as you can use chat and create create a skill, which is a skill that you can plug in. I have a lot of here, and just basically ask. Or if I want to make it more predictable, okay, see a lot of things that happen here is you actually can put in instructions. That is, you are renewal manager. This is like analyze. You can ask Claude actually to help you create this instruction and skill, and what are the things I'm looking out for. Okay, and then simple as put in this is I just did, which is I just literally upload my CSV and Cloud will start populating what's going on. Okay, there's 10 accounts. This is what's happening. And then it populate this. So I understand like most people probably at using the project in Claude and it already identified kind of like which is the use case you can use. Now, if you want to take one step further, so okay, what is a forecast model? I can ask Claude to continue build a dashboard. So this is actually just Claude running out based how you run it in your browser, the dashboard, the native dashboard you can play around. You can talk about what we talk about the run rate window, trending 3 months, 6 months, and so on, and can do a little slideshow or upload a CSV this way. And this is kind of how it looks like. All right. One step forward. Okay, now we're going into this is you can build this and make it more continue using Claude, connect to your database. Now today we're going to use use cases lovable, which I literally just asked Claude, hey, today this is a playbook I have, CSV, help me build a dashboard in lovable. Just basically like that. And this is what it does. See, I just have a skill set, markdown file saying, hey, this is the steps I want. Um, the instructions I need. And it's a little bit, I'm just gonna, but you can see here, this is a markdown file that actually Claude gave me based on the usage trends. And then I literally just like plug it in Lovable and ask, okay, here it is. Here's my usage data. Help me build a calculator. And this is how it all runs. And this is how Lovable pops out. All right, one step further. So we now know the calculator run rate, what it was actually the outcome is, right? You want to identify which is account is at risk, green, and so on, or the customer usage. So this is something I built time ago. It's I call it kind of my renew command center, which is you can look at all your accounts, what is at risk, last 30 days, 60 days, and so on, based on any CSMs, guardrail, and you start building a lot more extensive items that you're looking for. Okay, based on what workflow they're in, what you're looking for, so on, what at risk, and here was the trending risk, and so on. So this is where you want to ultimately get to, which is step ahead, be proactive for renewals and expansion. Right. So, last question. If you I always say Anthropic always offer great courses here, and they are free and they're amazing. So if you want to kind of sharpen your skills, here is Anthropic Skills. They have a university that you can get onto us, and it's pretty well done. Right. I think that was it. Any questions so far? I know it's a little bit faster.
Uh, no, we do have a couple questions. Can you
Okay.
maybe dive a little deeper into the lovable portion and how you
Yes.
set it up there?
Here, level two.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what did it was like reverse engineer. Like I mentioned, there was here's the thing. Like, I really want people to spend time on doing the data part here, logic, because then that's really, when the customer is churning. So you want to know, okay, the customer is actually underutilized. This is what happened. If it's like since when. So what I also do is, let me see if I can pop out here a little bit, is I literally just ask, after I know my recipe, the playbooks, right? Here is, I actually just reverse engineer. Here we go. This is a very simple prompt. You can see here, right here. It's like reverse engineer here. Here is the prompt I have. I want to know all these things. All right. So there's a lot of workspace playbook as you make it and help me build instructions a little bit. That's literally it. As I work into this co-work project and it's building out. So it literally just like spits help me find these lovable build instructions and what I'm missing. So like I mentioned, I'm using the free tier, but if you have the super base, which is the where your usage, your entropic key, because that's your LLM, you can work in Lovable, and and you want to renew, and the MD file, marking file, just look like this. Does that answer your questions a
Yeah,
little bit?
I think
Okay.
so. And just a reminder to everyone, if you have any questions, you can drop it into chat or Q&A. We do have a couple more, Emma. How many versions of this tool have you built so far and why? What have you changed?
Well, if you have just it is we know okay. We all know like this is just based on usage, and I already built in the criteria about like the building part, like what is the reason why people churn. But if you have not, if we all talk about the the actual reason why we churn is not just happy customer, well, churn customer can have like great usage, but because a restructuring or acquisition happened. These are outside market signals that you don't know or champion left. So if there was a lot of version I'm trying to rebuild this because this is solely based on usage trend and also what it looks like is going to happen. But I feel like this is what's missing is the market signals, the champion, the things that we always look for if we're liking to renew or not. So this is solely just a consumption. How many version? A lot of version. You can keep literating and as I always say, okay, another thing is you always want to have the safety measure. Uh, I have my teammates to review like sometimes like, hey, this is actually churning or up a resell, like upsell, but not always happen like that, right? Even though, so there's always like, and always run a parallel on the side, not to rely on calculator and have the data policy in place, confirm what it is. So first one on sample data first. And then after you pop like launch it, you always want to measure, does that really save me more time when I'm prepping renewals? Or actually, I spend more time on fixing the data. And did I actually, in the Q3, how many time I had identified at risk and use this calculator to catch renewals or for same for expansion? So how many times? A lot of time I have lost count how many times I built this calculator, but um, I would say for just like simple, just knowing where the customer trend in and out before you talk to them at the level one was enough for me to understand.
Got it. Another question. Does the CS
Okay.
team and the leadership go directly into Lovable to see the health data, or does it then get pushed into the CRM or somewhere else more universally accessed?
I went two ways. One is I did create this and create a skill and share with the team that way so they can plug into their Claude and use the calculation skills that way. That's one way. Second is we do build our own CSP, just like this. We all have our own dashboard, and so they can log into the dashboard and check out. They don't have to calculate themselves. This is actually already done.
Cool. And is that skill that you use to build for the lovable building a custom skill or publicly available?
These are custom skills. It's always about the context. Is you have to work your own playbook, do analysis. But yeah, if you would like, I can happy to jump on a call and like walk you through the logic. I would just always say that. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Emma, we do have a little bit of time, so if you
Okay.
want to just quickly
Okay.
walk through the logic now, that works.
Okay. Think I okay. So logic wise, let's see. All right, so that was the instructions of how this was built. There is, let's see. Uh, so there's a couple of things I want to add. Just so if you when you're building, when you start building like the logic and stuff, I always like, okay, start from the beginning. How I want to know like does how often do people do churn analysis? Understand why customer churn or expand. I think that's where you start there. Because then you know that if customer, you see the last 3 months trending, let's say 15%, 20%, that can be some sort of risk signal that you can identify way before that's the calculator, right? And then you use that assumption to calculate, kind of work against like, hey, I assume 15%, 20% of all these calculate if this is true. So everything you do here, you actually can use Claude to do that data analysis. And when you do that, I say always use the right model, right? Opus is really good for more competitive ambitious work, these for data analysis and so on, right? So you do all my analysis, like the analysis on Opus, the latest one is 4.8. I have the pro version right now, so on. But once you have the playbook, like have analyzed, you're happy with it, I would say go back and use that data point to check if the current quarter is the same thing.
Mhm. Oh, and Emma, just
Hmm.
to clarify, the question was in
Oh,
Claude,
sorry.
you asked like, hey, build this
Yeah.
in Lovable.
Yes, that's
For
the way.
that specifically, was there any context that
Yeah.
you provided for that,
Um,
or is
um, I was just because it's the thing is like I already work in this is one chat, so it also
Mhm.
has all my contacts, the
Got it.
work I have done. So it
Mhm.
was easy for Claude to understand this is a here's a playbook markdown file
Mhm.
and instructions when I want to ask, okay, build me a lovable. That's it. I know
Got
it's
it.
so simple, but there's pre-work here
Mhm.
that's very hard to say, hey, how it does.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. Cool. I think that was it in terms of questions. So thank you so much, Emma, for this detailed review of how to build a renewal calculator. The recording of this session will be available to everyone in our resource hub and we'll be notifying you when it's live, which should be sometime tomorrow. So thank you again, Emma, and thank you to everyone who's attended our summit and hope you enjoy the rest of it.
Thank you for me. Have a great day, guys. See
Bye.
you.